My name is Aaron Franklin. I'm a Texan. I live in Austin, Texas, in fact. And I run Franklin Barbecue with my wife, Stacy. We're a little barbecue place in Austin, Texas. Been around about 12 years now. So really, I started cooking barbecue about 20 years ago. Full disclosure, I did grow up in a barbecue restaurant. Unfortunately, I didn't realize how hard my parents were working. I thought it was all just like super fun and super cool, and it's like, yay, we're making food, which is true, but it's also a lot of work. So skip ahead many years. I cooked a brisket in the backyard, probably like 2001, I guess, something like that. And I remember sitting out in the backyard and being like, man, this fire smells so good. This is it. And from that moment, I was just purely hooked. And that kind of started a pretty long process of learning how to cook barbecue, still working on it. Haven't quite nailed it yet, but we started having like backyard barbecues and stuff and having people over, and one thing led to another. We ended up having pretty huge barbecue, like 100 plus, 130 people, and it really just got super nerdy on it because there was like a barbecue culture, but it was like Lockhart, Taylor, this stuff did not exist. And I just kind of really got super into it. I love kind of how pure and simple cooking barbecue is. I mean, it's like meat and fire. There's nothing special about it. But then I'm kind of a details guy, so I kind of got real geeky on all like the nerdy stuff and what makes this like this, and kind of like a lot of light bulbs over the years, figuring things out and learned from doing it, mostly trial and error. But really, so, one thing led to another. We're having these backyard barbecues, and we bought a little camper trailer. December of 2009, we opened that, behind a chain link fence, behind an old Texaco station, really no sign, you couldn't see it, just super word of mouth kind of stuff. And I wanted it, to be like a real sleeper, like, hey, there's this place, and it was that place. And, a couple months in, and to see about, 5 or 6 guys out there with lawn chairs that weren't together, like they all individually kind of showed up. And I kind of went out there, and was like, oh, what's going on? What are you guys doing out here? I'm like, oh, we're here to eat barbecue. You open in 5 minutes, right? I'm like, oh, well, I guess I am now. I think we probably kind of knew like it was going to be okay about 6 months in. It was getting really busy and lines down the street. We could only make, 15 briskets a day, or start off with 12 and then kind of went up to 18. And as I built cookers, we cooked more. But it's hard to build cookers when you're cooking barbecue all the time. It's one of those things when you kind of find like a type of food, or maybe like a type of music, or like whatever your hobby's gonna be. Like I like to build hot rods, or I like to like do carpentry or whatever. Like when you kind of find that thing that's like, oh, that was made for me. Barbecue's kind of that for me. But we have 5,000 gallon propane tank cookers, and I had built the first one, built in my backyard quite a few years ago, in the early trailer days. Eventually we just stopped making more because we couldn't get more cows. We can't really watch more food and keep it good. And we also ran out of property. Like there's no more room up here. Well, really what makes great barbecue is your hands. It's the heart. I mean, that's the foundation of all this stuff. I mean, it's a meaningful food for so many different reasons, and if you can set yourself up properly with the right tools, also known as the right firewood, perhaps, but if you really just always are kind of thinking about it and looking to troubleshoot, I mean, it's a live action cooking. They're long cooks, things change, the weather changes, every animal's different, every day's cook is a little bit different. Like there's no dial on the oven that you could set and be like, it cooks at this temperature. Like you change things all the time on the fly, but also to be incredibly stable at the same time. You're like, no, like, because you get tired after not sleeping for a couple days, or sometimes, and it's like, you start making bad decisions. Like just plan your work and be smart. Barbecuing is as easy as you want it to be, or as complicated as you want it to be. Choose your own adventure. No, we change all the time. We make changes, if we have an idea, or like there's always strange things that pop up. We cook 120 briskets a day here. We cook 24 hours a day, 6.5 days a week. So, things gradually kind of morph and evolve, and we'll start trying this. We're like, it's pretty good. Let's stop doing that. Oh, that was good. Let's keep doing that. Oh, let's add a little bit of this over here. Oh, that's pretty good. Like, if you're not evolving and always trying to make things better, what's the point? That really sucks the fun out of it. If you're just waking up doing the same thing every day, that gets pretty boring. We're tinkers. We like to play with stuff. So yeah, we're constantly changing. I mean, we change temperatures that we cook at almost every other day. Like move this stage or add something to the ribs. Yeah, we're constantly tinkering. Yeah, I don't know what makes us different. I mean, I think it's a lot of things. You know, obviously the food hopefully is delicious every day. I mean, that's the number one thing. But also the fact that we cook so much food, almost 45,000 pounds of brisket a month, and they're all so gosh darn consistent. I think that's a big thing. I think really just like the friendliness is a huge thing. You know, the fact that we have so many people that come through here. I mean, on a Saturday, we might feed 500-700 people in 4 hours. I mean, it's a whooping, but every single person, it's like going to grandma's house. You know, they all get a high five, they all get a hug. I think it's just that level of hospitality. I mean, it's like we're throwing a dinner party every single day. Quality of the wood is surprisingly important. I think of wood not as a fuel source, I think of it as an ingredient. Because it is. I mean, you're getting flavor. It's multifaceted, of course, but really it's kind of the missing ingredient. You know, and that's why it's so important to have clean fires. There's chemically so much going on with wood that when you pick the right wood, or you know, it's got the right moisture content, and especially with post oak, you know, that's got a lot less tannic acid than any other wood out there. I mean, it's a really nice, delicate wood. Cooking with wood, there's really no shortcut. You just have to do it. You've got to figure it out. You've got to really get a feel. It becomes kind of a sixth sense in a lot of ways. You know, you just get good at it. Like people and like animals, like everything, trees are totally different. You know, wood from different parts of the tree tastes different. It's got a chemical makeup that's completely different from a trunk versus a limb. You know, finding a good firewood guy is pretty tough. You know, they're kind of flaky. They'll show up, mismeasure stuff, give you something that you didn't want. You know, not show up at all. You run out of firewood. I mean, you know, you can't just jump on the internet and buy 6 cords a week of post oak. There's not a lot of people out there that could really pull that off. Yeah, I mean, we've been using Chief's Firewood for quite a while. We had a couple years in the early days before we kind of stabilized that supply. And it was like, we're out of wood, and like just really scrambling. Like I would borrow firewood from other places. Other places used to borrow firewood from us all the time, running out. But yeah, the supply is definitely there. But reliability is a huge thing. You know, showing up at the right time with what you ask for. But yeah, reliability and quality. I mean, it goes a long way.